Minute Maid slushies are back at McDonald's. And if you'd like to thank me for that information, I'll gladly take a slushie. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Right now, treat yourself to a small Minute Maid slushie, like the new strawberry watermelon flavor for $1.59. Or try small McCafe frappes and smoothies for just $2. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only. Minute Maid is a trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
90 Day is going tropical on the new Discovery Plus original series, Love in Paradise, the Caribbean. It's a vacation love story where sun, surf, and seduction collide. 4 Americans are traveling back to the exotic islands where they hope their sexy romances can turn into forever. Love in Paradise, the Caribbean, a 90-day story. Streaming now only on Discovery Plus. Start your free trial. Terms apply.
Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores.
Minute Maid slushies are back at McDonald's. And if you'd like to thank me for that information, I'll gladly take a slushie. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Right now, treat yourself to a small Minute Maid slushie, like the new strawberry watermelon flavor for $1.59. Or try small McCafe frappes and smoothies for just $2. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only. Minute Maid is a trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
It's the Lapsed Fan Wrestling Podcast with Jack Encarnacio and JP Sorrow.
It's still real to me, damn it!
The Lapsed Fan.
In all my years in professional wrestling, I've never seen anything like it. Oh my God! Drop kick and a beauty.
Well, it's the Lapsed Fan, man, number one in the ring. Forget about Cesaro, we the real king of swing. When the bell goes ding, you get kicked like Ming. Thrown in the corner, make it splash like Sting. Even Jerry King will take off the crown, nodding his head like it's D-Lo Brown. We can get low down, but we go even higher. Flip you on your head, but you no cool driver. We be spitting more knowledge, the dragon spits fire. Leave you more shocked than when Edge retires. Dropping more truth than we con and sniper. Bless you with a coconut, Roddy Piper. Jack and JP be like JYD. Dropping cupcakes and quoting the brain Bobby. The best podcast from start to close. Now if y'all benefit, here's a 5-second pause.
Boss, it's the very first Spring Stampede.
It is indeed.
It's Flair versus Steamboat for the first time on that cast.
No.
Second time. And it's...
Only second?
Yeah. I'm sitting here like, my God, the most storied rivalry in the history of the business. And...
You remember? I don't think anyone's ever... I don't think we've ever, thought about this. But I think, when Ric Flair was almost...
Oh, my God, that's right.
Was thinking about, we're not thinking about it, but it seemed like Ric Flair was going to die. Was that, 5 years ago?
Yeah, he had that
now?
heart attack. He was in ICU, and yeah.
It seemed like it was going to happen. We were, scrambling. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to do the 3 Steamboat shows as his tribute. But nonetheless, we have one in the can.
It's been the Hopper that's put both of them before us, if you can believe it.
Indeed, that's right. The Hopper did it.
Much power the solar system has. We did the Clash of the Champions, Ragin' Cajun, 54-minute bout between the two from 1989.
Splendid match.
Splendid match.
Money.
Ages ago. And here we come to 1994. It's a much different WCW.
Sure.
It's a fairly different Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat.
Yes, it is.
And it's a different time in the business because Hulkamania is about to completely subsume World Championship Wrestling. This show sort of represents one last whimper, right, for a pre-Hogan regime. And,
yes. Although you can't help but just keep on talking about Hogan.
Right.
As much as you can.
Not to say that he's not right. 50% of what we'll end up talking about in looking back on what was happening at this point in WCW in April 1994. But it was the first Spring Stampede. It was Flair versus Steamboat for the WCW World Heavyweight title. Not the big gold belt, mind you. We're talking the one that he won from Vader.
Yeah, this is the interim WCW championship. Although the one that I don't mind saying that I prefer sometimes, just because of that was the one that when I first started watching WCW, that was the belt. That I started watching WCW in '92 for real, when I kind of figured out when it was on and where it was on, and so that was the belt that was being used for the champion. And I remember always thinking that the big gold belt just looked so old.
Mm-hmm, right.
Like so old.
Yeah, it was just this sort of one flat color, right, and had the rubies in it. But yeah, it was, and for Crockett fans, that goes back to February '86, and is associated with the Four Horsemen at the peak of their powers and in the trimmest of suits and all of that shit, and sweaters, like showing up at the TV studio with like polo sweaters, and people can't get enough of that, with sunglasses on, cutting promos. And that's the belt. That's the belt Flair holds in all of his most famous lines, and bragging about these gators and all that. And that's the belt that, when it's really Hogan over here and Flair over here in the late 80s and early 90s, that's the belt that represents Flair, represents, if you're a WCW fan / NWA / JCP fan and you prefer that style to what Hogan and the WWF were bringing, that's the belt you associated with that kind of wrestling. To your point, though, those who came to WCW later didn't have all of that context wrapped around in that belt. And that belt does make an appearance as well, because this is part of the setting of the table for Hogan's arrival. He's not about to win one of two world titles, let's put it that way.
Yeah, no way.
So these motherfuckers will be merged by the time the Hulkster comes in and starts dropping legs. Mm-hmm. But we can enjoy a little World Championship Wrestling before Hogan comes in and makes every single decision, essentially. Or, if a decision gets made without his okay, it's of very little consequence.
I mean, if you like that sort of thing, if you like this pre-Hogan WCW, I guess, but some of us prefer the Hogan WCW.
Right. Some of us were not satisfied until Hulkamania was back in its rightful place.
Some of us were on the edge of our seat wondering if Hulk Hogan was going to wrestle again. And WCW keeps hinting at Hogan.
They sure do. We'll get into all that, of course, as part of our treatment of the 1994 Spring Stampede, brought to us by Sam. And we'll be hearing from him a little bit later on in terms of why he put down significant cake for this particular event. It's an interesting one, and boss, right off the top, I just want your thoughts. Flair Steamboat, okay, we know.
Yes.
We know, at least from Ragin' Cajun. Of course, I've seen the other two. You probably have as well.
I've seen them. I haven't. I've only seen them once each on the first Flair DVD set.
Yes, big inclusions on that set.
Were all three of them on there, or just the two? I don't remember.
If memory serves, just the two.
Not the hour-long one.
No, just the 2.5-hour Chi-Town Rumble,
all right.
which is February '89 when Steamboat wins the championship, and then the rematch Music City Showdown May 1989 in Nashville when Flair gets it back following the April Clash sort of draw where the belt was held up.
Yeah,
thus necessitating the third and final.
I remember seeing those two. Kind of, but I'd never seen this one before.
And
I knew how it all. I knew how it all played out. I think I've read about it a million times, but I'd never actually seen the show.
Well, you have it under your belt. Flair Steamboat, 1994. Thoughts?
It's hard. It's hard to place it because it's really apples and oranges. Because those first ones happen at a very, very particular time and in a particular year. This one happens in a particular year. And like you said, the business has changed, but here they go out and have a phenomenal match, but there is something missing. I don't know what that is.
Preach.
But there's just something that isn't there. There's a spark that isn't there. And I'm not, and here's the thing. These guys are going at it like crazy. They're slapping each other. They're chopping each other. They're doing crazy ass reversals. They're having any other two guys, it would be a spectacular match, but there's something missing in it. And then to have that stupid finish just pisses me off.
Yeah, go right back to the 89 double pin finish.
It's like, come on, man.
Creating all sorts of questions.
Just beat Steamboat because you know Hogan's going to win it. So just beat him.
You know Hogan's coming in. You know Flair, who was the booker at the time, wants to work with Hogan.
Yes.
But I'm not so sure you necessarily know that Hogan's going to win it in the near term. I don't think it was necessarily understood. Yeah.
I did.
Well, the ticker tape parade announcing the signing is before they announced, that he's going to wrestle Flair and that Bash at the Beach is going to be this big blowout
I
event.
knew he was going to win it the moment he stepped foot. I remember
Well, I'm not doubting that. I'm talking about when, more so than if.
Sure.
And I think if I can triangulate here, and I haven't read anything that indicates this was absolutely the case, but there are little hints here and there that we'll talk about that I think is a reasonable assumption that, this was booked with a rematch between Flair and Steamboat in mind, perhaps for the next Clash or perhaps for the next pay-per-view. This is definitely not a finish you do if this is the last one. Now, of course, it wasn't because they did rematch about 3 weeks later on Saturday night to resolve the controversy created by this pay-per-view finish, and Flair does win that match. But I think what happened seems to me, that they accelerated the timetable for Steamboat's rematch significantly so that it's on free television, which is very strange in its own right, and sped up also the unification of what was then so briefly called the WCW International World Heavyweight title, the big gold belt that on this event Sting wrestles Rick Rude for, and sort of sped up the unification significantly so that there was only one championship for Hulk Hogan to win once it became clear when Hulk Hogan was coming in.
Well, brother, that's the thing. I'm not sure if I'm digging that, brother. Having two world champions. I mean, then who's the champion, brother?
Brother, I mean, I'm so glad to be coming in, dude. These terms look great. I appreciate you showing proper respect for Hulk Hogan, but
what I really understand, what I'm a big fan of, dude, is the fact that Ted Turner understands the power of Hulkamania, brother.
Right.
That's what I get, dude.
Absolutely, brother. To make a sort of separate accommodation for me, a separate, appropriation for me, brother, in the budget, dude, massive. And I appreciate that. I very much look forward to acting in these films he's got, dude. Question, brother, though. I was watching the television, dude, and you got 2 belts floating around there, brother. What's up with that, brother?
Brother, dude, I just want to know I just happened to, I watch some of your Saturday night program, brother, and I was digging it, dude. Very, 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 different vibe than
well, thanks, Terry. We've been working hard,
brother. But I'm just I gotta ask, dude. I'm just curious. 2 belts? I don't get it, brother. What's the deal, dude? Why do you got 2?
Well, the deal was, you remember when Flair came to New York, right? And you worked with him there.
Yeah,
he took one of the 2 belts with him. So when he came back, he had to win the one that we created in his stead, in his absence. Yeah. And then we brought back.
So you got 1 belt, brother. Then you got 1 champion.
Well, it turns out, yes, but in the interim, what we did was we got the belt back from him that he took to New York at first, and we called that the NWA World Title, which it really was before he left, and we had a different NWA sort of division going and contenders for that belt, plus the championship we created when Rick took the belt in the first place. So,
first of all, dude, I got to understand something, brother. What's this NWA, dude?
The National Wrestling Alliance, the umbrella regulatory organization for pro wrestling dating back to the 40s.
Who's got an umbrella, dude? What is going on, brother?
Never heard of Sam Muchnick?
Huh?
Don't get nervous. It's fine, Terry. This is a minor point.
Dude, I'm just hearing about the 2 champions.
No
one tells me that there's 2 champions, brother. And I don't understand that, dude, because only 1 champion can draw, brother. And you got 2 champions trying to draw, dude. That's like, you're brother, you're putting people against each other, dude. And I'm not a fan of that, brother.
Isn't that what wrestling is?
Dude,
no, Terry, brother, there's no reason to get the gears, throw sand in the gears here. You just tell me, what would you think we should do vis-a-vis these 2 championships? We just have it into this situation.
You got to get rid of one. You got to get rid of one.
Okay.
Get rid of it.
All right.
Throw it away, dude. Just boom, done.
And so we have 1 champion, and what happens to him?
I beat him, brother. I mean, I think that, I'm just saying, if you want to get, let me backtrack. I'm sorry. I'm a little, brother, I'm just, I've never heard of this dude. I've never heard of, 2 champions, brother. So it's just, I'm just trying to figure out how you guys do business down here in Atlanta, dude.
Well, let's think it out. If you beat Flair, as we've talked about, for his belt, and there's another champion, doesn't that just create all kinds of, storyline potential between the 2 champions and an eventual unification? Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Hulk Hogan's never been in a situation like that.
Yeah, Yeah, dude, you know what? I'm not digging creative, brother.
Excuse me?
I'm not digging that creative, brother. I am not digging
what's wrong?
Creative, brother.
Well, okay. Well, can you tell me why? Maybe we can work around it.
Because, dude, to me, brother, if you're going to have me win the championship, dude, if you're going to have me beat Ric Flair, we're talking about a dream match, dude.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
A match that has never happened before, brother. Ever. All right, dude? Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, brother. I got to beat him, dude.
Okay, no, we all agree on that. Rick's all about that, too. We understand that.
But if I beat him...
Yeah.
But see, dude, here's the thing, brother. If I beat him, dude, and there's another champion, it's like I didn't actually beat anybody, brother. It's like I lost.
Brother,
I'm a champion, dude.
Brother, did you by any chance tell...
I'm like a tag team champion, brother.
Right.
I don't do tag teams, dude.
Brother, did you by any chance tell whoever in this scenario would be the other champion that he might roll me up from behind, dude, when I had the other belt? I mean, why
brother,
would there have to be another champion,
Here's the
brother?
thing, dude. I need to know, brother. I mean, first of all, I don't know. I don't know who you've been talking to, dude.
Exactly. Let's get down to...
All right? Because here's the thing.
Exactly.
See, I don't know who told you that I'd be okay with two champions.
You got to realize, I'm walking into a Shark Tank here, brother. I've never been here before, dude. And there are people that might want to take advantage of Hulk Hogan.
Dude, see, I'm walking in with my red and yellow, brother. I'm walking in with that pride, dude. And I dig it, brother. And I understand that there are going to be a lot of people who are like, yeah, Hulkamania, Hulk Hogan, dude. Brother, I get it. But at the same time, dude, I'm in enemy territory, brother. I've got to have the guns blazing, dude, because there are gonna be guys coming at me from all behind, brother. All over the place, dude. It's gonna be like, I'm just gonna be looking all the way around, brother. It's like a battle royal where everybody's focused on Hulk Hogan.
And look, I've got a plan to neutralize most of them, brother, by bringing in everybody I worked with in New York and surrounding myself with them. But I can't cover all bases, brother. I need to. Who do you have in mind for the second champ anyway, dude?
I want you to know, brother. I want you to know, dude. I've actually thought about this, dude. I actually have thought about, the fact that there are these guys. So I decided to cover my bases a little bit, brother. And I have signed a lot of my old friends to contracts for WCW, brother. I signed Hacksaw, dude. I signed Honky Tonk Man, brother. I signed Earthquake. I signed Savage, dude. So all these guys are going to come in over the course of the year. Huh?
What do you mean you signed them?
Well, I offered them contracts, brother, and they signed them.
You don't have the authority to do that.
Well, if you read the fine print, brother, I believe that Jimmy added that into the contract, dude.
Jimmy? Who you been negotiating with? Jimmy? Who's Jimmy?
No, Jimmy Hart, brother. My manager, dude. He came in, he did the thing, dude. And he added this as a stipulation that Hulk Hogan...
Brother, let's put it this way. If it's not in the contract, wait 6 months, brother, and you'll realize what I'm talking about.
Here's the thing, dude. If it's not in the contract now, dude, it'll be in the contract tomorrow, brother. And I already signed other people to contracts, dude. And are you going to deny them? You're going to say that you're going to put these people out on the street, dude, when they have come over here, brother?
I know who draws money with.
Players, dude. We're talking about money fucking players.
I know who I draw money with, brother. Why would you want to stand in the way? What is your deal here? Well, why are you pushing a second champ anyway? And who would this champ be, brother? That's my question for you, dude.
Why are you got two champs? Why you got him rolling me up, brother? Like, I don't understand. You got me winning the championship, then all of a sudden I'm doing a job to another champion, brother. I don't understand
Terry,
why.
we never said you're doing it.
But you did, dude, because you have a second champion. You're rolling me up right from the get-go, brother.
The virtual
You're putting me into the fucking lion's head, dude.
I'm not sure I can sign this contract, brother.
Brother, I'm not signing, dude, until you guarantee me, brother, that there is only one champion and I get to pin both of them, brother.
I want the belt off the second champ, and I want to beat the second champ.
I want to pin them all clean, dude, and I want to know what their contracts are like, brother. I want to know exactly what it is that they are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, brother, because I'm not digging this, dude. I want to have, I'll tell you what right now, brother. I want to write it down right now. You're going to add this in my contract right now, brother. I want to have exclusive rights to look over and peruse all the other wrestlers' contracts, brother, and to be able to change them if there's stuff in there that I don't like, dude.
What does that have to do with their contracts, Terry? What? I mean,
because, brother, maybe there are guys who are winning world titles, dude, who don't deserve to win world titles, brother. And I think it should be written in their contracts that they're not allowed to win world titles, brother, especially from Hulk Hogan.
Signee is not allowed to defeat Hulk Hogan under any circumstances. I want to pin them all clean. The Hulk Hogan story.
Or dirty, brother. I don't give a shit, dude.
So, yes, we have...
I'll put them both.
You know, it's sort of like, you know, preparing the home for a listing on the Realtor's website here. That's World Championship Wrestling. You know, they need to make all of the pieces aligned just so it caters to the buyer's taste.
Like,
the buyer's
offer was accepted, but there are some conditions.
There are some conditions. So, the buyer being Hulk Hogan. So, we need the title situation figured out. We need to cycle through whatever programs Ric Flair may have had in the pipeline from Ricky Steamboat to Sting, and we need to have the the deck chairs in order for the arrival of the Hulkster. So that is indeed a big backdrop to this show, but it does take place in its own time. It does take place in its own context. While Hogan is mentioned on the broadcast, he has yet to really truly arrive. So it is Flair, it is Steamboat one more time. And if you know Ric Flair, when he gets the book, just like in 1989, well, he has a committee under him. He's head booker again for a brief moment. We talked about this on our Super Brawl 1994 show, where Dusty Rhodes is kicked out as booker in February 94, and Flair comes back to the head booking. We talked about his match with Vader at Super Brawl and how Vader was sort of disenchanted with the way Flair viewed him versus the way Dusty and his regime viewed him with Ole underneath. And so Flair here, first instinct, got to go with Steamboat. That's my true north. Guaranteed good matches, guaranteed critical acclaim. And so he goes back to that well here, even though, you know, Steamboat wasn't necessarily positioned in WCW at the time as, you know, the surefire world title challenger that people were hungering to see challenge for the belt. It really was just, you know, the history of he and Flair informing why this was booked. So we get it. It's in Chicago, just like the original, at least the original title change, February 1989. We can go back to the 70s, of course, and the Mid-Atlantic TV and U.S. Championships when these two first had at it, and what were really state-of-the-art matches down there in North Carolina and Greater Charlotte. But we'll fast forward to, you know, the nationally televised stuff between these two for sure for these purposes. And they go in there and they do it. And it's a Steamboat that's different. It's a Steamboat that's still wearing the fucking wings that Vince put on him in 91.
Wait, what?
The wings on Steamboat.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, he's not wearing the hat.
That's true.
You know? He's not wearing the hat. I mean, at least, I never had a problem with this, with the costume. You know? I mean, because you know why I never had an issue with it? Because he's Ricky the Dragon. He's not just the Dragon. Who is this guy? That to me was more offensive.
Right. They just called him the Dragon in WWF.
The Dragon, and they never made reference to the fact that he's a former Intercontinental Champion and Ricky Steamboat. Like, he's just the Dragon.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but you know, this I don't mind because he's clearly Ricky Steamboat, but he's just got a dragon for flavor, you know, just like a little, you know, just a little, I don't know, like a little crushed pepper is what it is.
Well, it's classic WCW at this point in that, much like Boss Man elsewhere on the show, who's just called The Boss.
The Boss.
And wearing essentially the exact same outfit with a different shade that he used to wear as the Big Boss Man, they weren't able to help themselves. I mean, if they brought someone in from Titan, they were going to use the exact same gimmick. I mean, that was just like, to them, that's what they should do. And so they kept that on Steamboat. They called Boss Man The Boss. You know, other guys that had rights to their names, of course, kept them, like Davey Boy and others. And so that's considered part of why the crowd response is sort of tepid to Flair on this, to Steamboat on this show. I think really it's just Flair had so thoroughly cemented himself as an all-time legend by this point that.
And also was Flair wasn't
a heel.
He wasn't a heel either, right? He was still babyface.
Yeah, he was a babyface against Vader for sure.
Right.
And so that was the major program.
Because he didn't really turn heel until the Sting program to unify the belts.
Correct, which probably was in the cards all along, even if Hogan hadn't signed. Because, you know, Flair always he turns face, but it's always a pit stop on turning heel again. That's his comfort zone, and that's always where he's headed. But here, we have a Steamboat, as we talked about, who had left WCW, or NWA, as it were, in 1989 after wrestling Lex Luger at the Great American Bash due to a contract dispute with Jim Herd. Disappears for a little while, reemerges in 91 back in the WWF. He had not left on the best terms from WWF in the first place, but ends up flying out to Vince's house, having a couple of meetings. Vince talking to him about how we're a much different company now, much more streamlined. You're going to love it. We even had our art people work up a design for your new costume, and thus the fire-breathing dragon was born.
That's right, dude. Yes. What we're going to do is we're going to have you be the dragon. I mean, you were the Dragon before. You were Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. But really, now you're just going to be a dragon.
Now you're going to put kerosene in your mouth and blow fire with it.
You're not going to be Ricky Steamboat. You're going to be Dragon. Dragon.
In Mexico.
In El Dragon in Mexico and La Dragon in France.
Right.
And then just Dragon. You're going to be Dragon behind in the WWE here in America. And quite frankly, this is, this is no disrespect to you. I understand that you are a consummate athlete. You are a competitor, and I like competitors. I enjoy competition. I want to get that out there. But what I do, I'm strict about this, okay? And I know you're just going to have to deal with it and understand it and respect it, is that you've got to start at the bottom. Because you are, fans haven't seen you in 4 years here in the WWE. You're not the guy that you were. We're not the company that we were. And that notwithstanding, you just have to establish your base. And so you're going to, we're probably going to have you lose your first year's worth of matches.
Well, there's life imitating art again on TLF, because that is pretty much what Steamboat said Vince told him, in that there would have to be a period where they had to build him back up. And he wouldn't.
Did he really?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh my God.
He wouldn't go straight to the co-main stature that he left the company with necessarily, and it would happen eventually that he'd be back in the top picture, but not right away. Steamboat was accepting of that and jumped in with both feet with this gimmick. He didn't love doing the fire breathing on every show. His thought was, and the original proposal, according to him, was that he'd only do that on major shows, like as a pay-per-view special feature or something like that.
I want it on house shows, too. People expect this stuff.
Well, people liked it, and they got disappointed when he didn't do it.
The grandeur, like they expect it. But you can't they can't say who you are. You're just the dragon. All right? And honestly, you got to get that torch. You keep the shit in your mouth, and you got to keep that torch really close to your mouth. Almost put it inside your mouth.
Can you put it in your mouth, pal?
Put the fire in your mouth, pal. I want to see it.
Put it in your mouth, pal.
Don't be a bitch. All right, I'm paying you good money, damn it. No, I'm paying you money. You do what I say. Put the fucking torch in your mouth.
What's up, boss?
So there it is, and he's positioned accordingly, and he's skeptical, but he's going for it. They fly him down to Florida with Bruce Pritchard to meet a guy who was doing flame swallowing and flame shooting and flame spitting as a carny. Okay,
yeah,
to train a bit. And as Steamboat tells the story, when he gets down there, there's heavy winds, and the first time the guy goes to demonstrate to Steamboat how it works, the flames blow back in his face in a direction he wasn't expecting. That is to say, blow in the face of the trainer, and his face is on fire. Temporarily, it's fine. He no-sells it.
Fine?
Yeah, except for the boils on his face the next day. But in the moment, he was able to convince Steamboat and Pritchard that it was okay. It's not really that severe a problem if something like that happens, and we can go forward. And he did learn how to do it. And when he started to do it on TV, everyone expected at the house shows that he'd do it as well. There'd be kind of a letdown if he didn't, so he started doing it all the time, which he definitely didn't want to do. So as time goes, this idea that we'll build you back up in no time, but you got to start, closer to the bottom of the card, 10 months into the run. 10 months into the run. Ricky Steamboat is in precisely the same position he was. And he says, fuck this. So,
well, I didn't say it was going to be fast. I said it was going to be built up over time.
I mean, what do you expect from me, pal?
Year. I mean, what you expect to get promotions in a year at a regular job? I mean, you're a rookie. You are a rookie in the WWE. I'm sorry to say that, but that is just the fact. Doesn't matter, what you've done in other organizations, but here in the WWE, you are 4 years removed from your last stint. You have not proven yourself. You need to prove me.
What about WrestleMania 3?
Do I have to say 4 years ago again?
Right.
I'm not here fucking talking about the past, waxing nostalgic here. I'm waxing the current.
That's right.
I'm waxing the present. And in the present, you haven't done shit for me.
Yeah.
And if you want to do shit for me,
put the fucking hat
down
on
your
Rick.
knees and you kiss my ass.
Put the hat on, you bitch. Put it on.
Put the hat on. Breathe the fucking fire. Be a goddamn man.
Be a goddamn dragon. Go be
Idiot.
my dragon.
Dragon. Fucker.
Yeah.
Idiot.
So he does it. He
Why don't you go have another fucking kid, you dumb bitch?
Oh. We're gonna make. What's Bonnie gonna call me when I hang up and cuss me out? So
is
afraid
Bonnie
of Bonnie.
gonna give me a hard time because you're a fucking dragon? You're a goddamn lizard with fucking wings, and you breathe fire, and you're not real? Yeah, have your wife fight your fucking battles. I'm gonna fuck her in the ass too. And she liked it last time, and she'll like it again. Bonnie knows my cock, and she knows what I'm gonna do with it.
True story. So he says, fuck this. He's in between flights on a tour, and he gets off the plane, he gets on a phone, and gives his 2-week notice on the phone. And gets back in the plane to finish out the 2 weeks left on his time there. And, he gets to the building, and double stretcher job on one taping. IRS is going to stretcher you out, and then later Undertaker is going to stretcher you out. And he bristles at the suggestion in shoot interviews that he refused to do jobs to the Undertaker, for example, as, sort of the last straw at WWF. But he says, I was fine jobbing to him in the middle of the ring, shoulders down, both of them. I don't care about that. It was being stretchered out twice on the same card that struck me as kind of odd.
We'll give you an Intercontinental title shot the next night. I can't guarantee that, but I'll definitely promise it.
Wow, look at that. The Vince McMahon story. I can't guarantee that, but I'll definitely promise it. Oh my God, did you just fucking land on something there, boss? Write that one down. Chisel it in granite. That is Vince McMahon's MO. That is Vince McMahon's worldview. So, yes, Steamboat bristles at that. I don't know. Did he never say anything about doing a job? I doubt it. But whatever it is, they interpreted it negatively. They said, if you're not going to do this, you're gone. And they terminated him on the spot. So that's, give your notice, get prepared to be fired. That's basically the deal.
Right.
And that's what happened. So he's gone, just like that. They never taped the stuff. He was like, I'm worried about the reputation of the business and the company, where if I get stretchered out at the beginning of the taping and I come out later, what does that mean for, holding up realism and kayfabe and stuff? It's like, yeah, Rick, I'm sure that was the problem. And God damn it, think about it, boss. He leaves, and who comes walking into the company right after he shuts the door?
Oh, now they need to see my birth certificate. Honey, where do we keep the birth certificates?
Why?
Buying socks?
Socks. I'll check upstairs.
It's easy to be unsafe online.
You're the best.
Now it's easy to help protect yourself. Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you device security, a VPN for online privacy, and identity theft protection, all in one. Opt in to cyber safety. Save 25% or more off your first year at norton.com/news.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
90 Day is going tropical on the new Discovery Plus original series, Love in Paradise, the Caribbean. It's a vacation love story where sun, surf, and seduction collide. 4 Americans are traveling back to the exotic islands where they hope their sexy romances can turn into forever. Love in Paradise, the Caribbean, a 90-day story. Streaming now only on Discovery Plus. Start your free trial. Terms apply.
Ric Flair.
That's right.
And Flair, according to Steamboat, said, damn it, you left as soon as I got there, because have we ever taken any time to consider Flair Steamboat in a WWF ring? I don't think we have.
That would have been crazy.
Like on a Coliseum video somewhere. It would be a collector's item.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think about red, white, and blue ropes. I think about Flair and WWF against Steamboat. I can see something there.
How? Yeah, it would have been crazy. They could have done that. They didn't do it. What?
Did not do it. Just missed each other in the night. Chips in the night. So he picks up the phone. I think Kip Fry is in charge at the time. Maybe it's Hurd. Gives a call over. That's probably Kip Fry because Hurd, he had very negative feelings with Hurd. Yeah, he didn't come into like 93, right? 92. He came back on a Clash. Let's see. November 19th, Clash of the Champions, 1991. So that would have been Kip Fry, I believe. Or just about when Kip Fry came in.
Wait, when did he come in?
November 1991.
No, I thought Kip Fry was 92.
Yeah, but I think Hurd was out by that late in 91. So I think there was like that interregnum period, and then they hired Kip Fry. Yeah, because Kip Fry he came out before the people on that January 92 Clash. It's coming back to me a bit, I think. Anyway, Jim Hurd's in the rearview mirror more than he is in charge, in control.
Sure.
He shows up as a surprise tag partner of Dustin Rhodes, who he would team with extensively in WCW, as well as with Shane Douglas, as we've talked about, and replacing an injured Barry Windham on that night, wrestling Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko. And then, they win the titles, they go on and lose them. In 1992, they work the Dangerous Alliance. We know Steamboat is absolutely electric in the 92 War Games. I mean,
sure.
When he gets in there, the hunger of the people, boss, my God.
Oh,
so
insane.
It's truly insane. So he's fitting in very nicely, and works Rick Rude for the U.S. title, and gets involved in a TV title program by the end of 92, working with Steve Austin. And man, did Steamboat play a huge role in bringing Steve Austin along.
Oh, huge role.
Massive.
Huge role.
Great program there. And that goes through 92. And then once we turn the calendar to 93, we have Steamboat and Shane Douglas mixing it up with the Hollywood Blondes, Austin and Pillman. And then it's time for him to sort of get positioned for the title picture as Kip Fry is gone. Bill Watts comes in. Bill Watts is gone. And then Dusty comes back with Ole for a little while in 93, and he's gone. Flair gets the book in February 94. So the road is paved here for the match we see at Spring Stampede. This match between the two got 4 stars and a quarter by Dave Meltzer, who had put 5-star ratings, I think, on their first two matches. Maybe one was 4 3/4. But that's special, not just because it's a highly rated match, but because elsewhere on the card, the Bunkhouse Buck, Dustin Rhodes Bunkhouse match gets 4 stars. The Nasty Boys, Cactus Pain Brawl, gets 4.5 stars. So,
really?
Yeah. So you can see it at the time why the show was sort of put up on a pedestal, because I think that's the most 4-star matches on a card since the celebrated 1989 Great American Bash show. At least
probably, actually. That's probably a good point.
At least an American pay-per-view card. So that's part of the reason. But also part of the reason is that this show, we've talked about it before, we'll of course talk about it now, it was everywhere on video store shelves during the Attitude Era.
We have, especially in stores where you could buy videos. I can't tell you that I saw this in a Blockbuster ever, but I can tell you I saw this at every fucking Suncoast video.
It was the damnedest thing.
Always. Like, it was, they had no other WCW shows. Nothing. Just this random one. Yep. So bizarre.
Yeah, it was, you'd go in the Attitude Era, they'd have that Austin 316, that first Austin tape, whatever they called that one. And they had a series of releases on the pay-per-views on VHS, but these compilation releases, WWF stuff, and the WCWs were just as much backward looking as they were current. The tapes were like Sting compilations, and these tapes that they...
You could never, there was a time before, like, I want to say 98. I want to say 98 was when it kind of turned around, but, for the longest time, you could not find actual wrestling tapes, like pay-per-views, in those video stores. It was only the compilation Coliseum video types. And I don't even I'm not even talking about like the big ones. It was like, later on, like the mid 90s, small VHS case ones, and the WCW ones, but they always had Spring Stampede.
Wow.
Spring Stampede 94 was always there.
Not the celebrated 89 Flair Steamboat matches. You couldn't find those, but for some reason they felt this was the one to feature. It's interesting. There must have been some sort of changeover at Turner Home Entertainment at the time that led to these videos getting wider distribution or something like that. There must have been some change in regime or something that accounts
could you ever find those ones? I mean, maybe the Wrestle War one, but none of the other ones were on pay-per-view.
They were, and you could get them on Turner Home Entertainment Video, but usually it was like mail away. There'd be commercials. Remember, we did the Art of War games, for example. You would push the War games or the Starcade VHSs on Crockett Television, but you had to send away for them. They weren't really that well distributed in video stores. They weren't. You could find them. They were out there, but at least in our part of the country, maybe that accounts for it more than anything else. The WWF tapes outnumbered them 90 to 10%. So,
God, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the VHS right now. Like, oh my God!
Smell that fresh plastic when the buttery soft exterior of the video sleeve.
God, there was nothing like a brand new VHS tape.
Oh my God!
You open it up and the cover is, the box is crisp, and it's just like, there's no dents on the corners. It's just absolutely pristine.
That tape slides right out of that sleeve, doesn't it?
Yes.
Rattling, ready.
Yep. No, no creases or bends or anything like that. It's just a perfect thing.
Like the spine has like Ric Flair in a yellow robe pointing at you on the top.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see why we got rid of all that. That was so fucking whack.
Well, I mean, I don't want a VHS tape.
Oh my God!
Although I used to believe, it's actually funny. We used to talk about it. I think when we were in college, there was one movie that I really couldn't watch on DVD until I couldn't handle VHS anymore, and that was Home Alone.
Same here. That is amazing that you say that.
It was really magical to watch Home Alone on VHS.
I think it was the way the VHS quality added a certain soft focus to all the Christmas lights.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because there's Christmas lights in just about every frame of that movie.
Yes.
And, Christmas lights to me always look more magical when you kind of fog your eyes a bit.
Yep.
Kind of like purposely, you know what I mean? Reduce your focus. But the sharpness of a DVD, it just didn't translate the same warmth. It just did not.
Right.
And there probably are other movies that was the case for, but that's the same thing. I mean, I made a point. Even when I was buying nothing but DVDs, when I bought Home Alone on home video for the first time, I bought it on VHS for that exact reason.
Yep.
And plus, I'd worn out the VHS so much, the one I had in my house as a kid, that led to, that movie winning in my mind, that I had to replicate that too. I had to replicate how I watched it, not just the movie I watched.
Of course.
Yep, that's absolutely true. And I insisted on wrestling tapes on VHS for the longest time. In part,
me too. I couldn't do. I was like, this. No, I'm not going to get a DVD of a wrestling show.
And that's so weird to think about.
Crazy.
How that was like considered somehow like exotic.
I mean, it was even like I also digital things. I remember being like, oh, like why would I get an iPod?
Right.
Oh God, no, absolutely not. I want my CDs. It's like, well, actually,
it doesn't fucking matter, right?
If you get an iPod, you can actually have more music on than a fucking CD.
Right.
You could have like 18 CDs.
You can have like 10,000 songs and still just listen to 8 of them, but that's all right.
That's okay. That is the truth.
And you had also the situation that a lot easier to copy VHS tapes.
Way easier to copy VHS tapes.
Yep. I remember there was sort of a cat and mouse game in the beginning for WWF Home Video where their DVDs could be copied onto VHS for a while, and then they figured it out, and you couldn't do it anymore.
Really?
Yeah, you tried to make a copy, and the picture would be all fucked up. They found some sort of filter, I don't know what you want to call it, some sort of technology that blocked that. And I'm sure there was a way around it, but I wasn't willing to try that hard, and that's when I sort of gave in.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to have that option. I like to have the option of running off a copy for myself when I rented something, for instance. But not to be. I also like to create compilation tapes.
Steal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Steal.
Yeah.
But I also like to create compilation tapes for my own videos. I used to love to do that.
Sure.
But you can't do that if there were half were on DVD. So that's sort of the lay of the land, and we're going to crack open a Pabst and talk about how this all happened.
Indeed.
It continues to be a Pabst summer, boss. We got to let the folks know.
Oh, it's an absolute Pabst summer. We're talking those wonderful hard. God damn it! I'm the worst. Harder seltzers.
They're harder.
Great.
Yeah, they're harder than your typical seltzer.
They're harder than your typical seltzer. They're great. They're great for pay-per-view Sundays. I'll tell you that. And they're refreshing. I'm a big fan of the strawberry basil one. The strawberry basil one is fucking money. And then also the hard coffee. I will take it. I'll drink it. I'll drink it hard.
Let's do it.
You guys, they keep sending it to me. I will keep drinking it.
And they do keep sending it because they know that it's about embracing stuff that people actually put a place in their heart for. You know, there's a difference between I listen to this and I watch this versus I fucking need this. And that's our corner of the market. The folks, they might not be the biggest, but they are the most needy. They are the most addicted. Yes. They are the most loyal. They are the smartest. And you want to smile upon a partner like that. And that's what's going on between TLF and Pabst. So keep the fluids coming.
So great.
And we'll keep the boss a little turnt on those pay-per-view live calls.
Someone was upset. Someone got upset with me drinking on pay-per-view Sunday.
Really?
They tweeted we were called unprofessional.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Why yes.
Yeah, we're not professionals. I mean, what are you talking about?
No, we're a college podcast. That's
correct. Right.
In our garbages, garages, talking out of our asses. So,
right. What's the problem here? When did we become professionals? All this time, people have been chopping us down, trying to act like we're not professionals, and now all of a sudden we're being
now all of a sudden now you're upset with us because we're not acting professional. I mean, I don't get it.
I don't know, man.
I don't have time.
No, we just have time to guzzle Pabst and talk about why it used to be better.
Exactly.
So Flair Steamboat. These two came in looking light, looking lean, looking fleet of foot as ever. This was a thing, apparently. Sure. They would have their own private competitions on who would prove to be in the better condition, Flair and Steamboat, when they stepped into the ring for each other. Yeah. I don't know what form that took, if it was like fitness challenges or what, but that was a bit of badge of honor. Now, is that what's missing to you? Is the quickness, or is it something else?
I thought they're from a technical standpoint, there is nothing wrong with this match. They hit everything just right. It's that something extra. It's nothing that like they could have done on a physical level. It's that next level shit is that maybe it's the crowd.
I think it is largely the crowd, because the crowd isn't going there with them right away. They're not
right. It starts off so. I was a big fan of how it started off, like the chain grappling and the mat wrestling, but the crowd wasn't there. It definitely felt more like an Olympic style crowd, where they're not engaged. They're just not, they're kind of almost. It's like watching golf almost. Like you don't want to fuck these guys up.
Interesting, yeah.
But at the same time, it wasn't the crowd. I mean, you know what? I think I just hit on it. I think I know why it misses something. In essence, they're both baby faces.
Yeah.
Steamboat's
out there
there's
trying
no bad guy.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with babyface matches. I think they can also be equally incredible. But when you've got these two guys, you kind of need one to be the bad guy. You need to have Ricky Steamboat chasing the heel Flair. It won't work the other way around. And
this match will not work as well as it can if people don't want to see Steamboat win the title. That's right.
Right. And I think that might be it. The fact that they're, that the crowd isn't behind Steamboat. The crowd isn't rabid for Steamboat to beat Flair. Yeah, I think that is what hurts it.
Yeah, they came much more to see Ric Flair and to be excited by Ric Flair.
Right.
I think it's less about Flair versus Steamboat than it is about, that's the kind of reaction Flair gets. This is the star we came to see, and now we see him, and even if the psychology is telling us to cheer Steamboat, it's not going to work. And it does eventually.
But
They're
it isn't,
so goddamn
though. I mean,
good.
it isn't. The psychology is meant, seems to be to cheer both of them.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess Flair doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything overtly heel, but he didn't in the other Steamboat matches that he got booed in either. It's kind of weird.
But he was a heel.
He was coming in, right?
He's always, he was the heel.
It's curious because I'm looking back on some of the notes, and it does say, at the time that Flair took the book in February '94, that the first thing he did was turn himself heel, but he was definitely the face against Vader. Vader was not the face.
No, he didn't turn heel till after, unless he's talking about when he took the belt from Sting.
Yeah.
But in the first, half of '94, he is not a heel at all.
No, it's actually the follow-up to this match that sets Flair up as a heel because of how he deals with it and how he actually wins the rematch on Saturday night, which we'll talk about. But, so there's changes. Colonel Parker had come in, and he got his I think his cousin or his nephew, Jimmy Golden, to come in. His cousin, yep. Colonel Parker was on the booking committee, and so in comes Bunkhouse Buck, a.k.a. Jimmy Golden, and he works the show as well. So there's still, even though there's been a changeover from Dusty to Flair again, there's still fingerprints from Dusty's regime and Dusty's hiring very much in WCW at this point in time. It would take Hogan a little while to wash that out, but it happened. It went down. Make no mistake about it. Now, one of the historical...
Dusty will always be there.
What's that?
Dusty will always be there.
Oh, yeah. He's always ready to get the call and come back. And
no, I'm saying he leaves his aura, his scent is always left behind. He's never gone.
Absolutely. That man's watched too many movies and tried to copy them for, it to just be erased from
for sure
common memory. Interesting note here, and this is something that Conrad Thompson talked about on his podcasts covering this show, that I couldn't really run down the origin of this, but it's something that Eric Bischoff, in talking about this show on his podcast, absolutely agreed was at one point on the table. For Spring Stampede 94, I invite you to consider, boss, Ric Flair versus Great Muta as the main event.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Muta, of course, working Steve Austin on the show as part of the newly budding WCW New Japan relationship, which took some repairing after, according to Eric Bischoff, Bill Watts kind of left them high and dry for several $100,000 in money that they expected to be coming to them that he did not pay as part of, we remember, the working relationship.
I mean, if you're in the wrestling business, do you really expect to get money that you're owed?
Maybe if you're, one of the Japan outfits, and yeah, maybe you do. I don't know. And you're sort of naive to...
especially from a clown like Bill Watts.
Well, Bill Watts, he had a mandate. Cut costs. I mean, it's very simple.
Right. And that means I'm not going to give you money that you're owed.
Even though he was, front row when Chono won the NWA World title at the G1 that year.
Now, you understand, I'm cutting costs. This means that you're not getting money.
Right. I understand. I agree to
listen,
it. But
if I don't have to give you money, I'm not going to give it to you. And I decide if I have to give you money.
I make the agreement to pay you pending my decision to pay you or not.
That's right. And I don't agree.
So apparently at some point, as part of the exchange, which called for, guys from New Japan to come over and, when they're Muta's level, get pretty substantial card positioning. It wasn't just, bury these guys in the bottom of the card. Of course, we know it buds so much that Starrcade 95 the next year ends up being entirely WCW versus New Japan matches. That's how much it flourishes under Bischoff, who sort of appointed his crony, Sonny Ono, to deal with the Japanese offices. And as we've talked about on Collision in Korea, and the whole Pain Off the Pacific tour ended up being quite a fruitful back and forth for World Championship Wrestling at the time, and a revenue source as well, because certainly when WCW talent was booked in Japan, there would be proceeds from that coming in. Sting goes over there. Sting goes over right after this show to rematch Rick Rude in the bout that led to Rick Rude's career ending, as we talked about on Pain Off the Pacific. So Muta to be positioned strongly, justifiably so. I mean, you'll recall from our Bash 89 coverage, the show where Muta's in and wrestles on the show. Yes. I mean, versus Sting, guy's over as fucking you can be. As a guy who can't speak a lick of English on a promo, but Jesus Christ, the next gen work rate, the spots he could do, the presence, the charisma he had.
Look, you don't need to be able to cut a promo when you've got this.
You're in danger.
Oh, well, Gary Hart, right, backing him up in the first run. That's true. J-Tex Incorporated. But here, 94, still over like hell. It was only really a one-shot appearance for Muta before he came back on a more regular clip a few years later. But huge reaction in Chicago to Great Muta here. This is a guy that I think they totally would have accepted in the main event against Ric Flair. Problem is, wouldn't have necessarily fit Flair's prerogative. Remember, if you go back to Pin Off the Pacific, there was supposed to be the very first Dome show that was a WCW NWA cooperation, a New Japan NWA cooperation, was supposed to be Flair and Muta. And Flair skipped out on the date, leading to the scramble to replace him that we talked about. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Flair wasn't keen on working with Muta. I'm not sure. But that was on the table at one point, and it did not happen. Apparently, the feeling is Steamboat's in a better position to draw with Flair at this point in time. And this is also the period where Flair swears that he saw something in Steve Austin and wanted to make Steve Austin. And we have some evidence to that a little later, perhaps, but it's something Eric Bischoff sort of rejects. He said quite recently that he didn't think anybody saw Steve as a main eventer. No one was standing up saying, wait a minute, we have to push Steve. He could be the guy. Yeah. That conversation never took place. And, Austin was such a familiar part of the WCW roster that he sort of had
How did you not see it yourself?
Because you just don't know. You just have no imagination.
He's so good.
Absolutely.
And the crowd loves him. And
you know what happens
so
in wrestling?
When
you're good the way Steve Austin was good, people put you in that mechanic role, right? They put you on that spot on the card they have for someone that's good like that. They don't see that being what the fans will ultimately buy tickets and pay-per-views to see.
But he's a smug, smarmy.
He's perfect.
There's nothing wrong with him.
And it's all there. Great. It's all there. I mean, he wasn't stone cold, of course, yet, but it's there if you look hard enough.
He plays a great heel. He plays a great bitch heel.
Main eventer. Got it?
That fucking hair that he had, the whole thing.
Main eventer. And Hogan comes in, and all of a sudden he's getting pinned by Duggan in seconds, and it's on out, brother. Swept out in the wind. No wonder he won't work with Hogan.
Even Manny does great because he fucking gets pinned and then he gets up and jumps and then does that hilarious sell job of it.
But I mean, that was a clear signal, right? And the finish there. And you know what? What's the problem, brother? Right? I mean, you wonder why Austin is still cold-shouldered towards Hulk Hogan all these years later and has reveled and loved and just relished the fact that he can deprive Hogan of that big time payday.
He said on his podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure he does because he knows now he doesn't have to do it.
Well, I guess.
But I'm sure Hogan eventually got to him like he gets to everybody and made him feel like, it's all a misunderstanding, brother. Anything I said ever, great distance between us, brother.
Dude, the thing is, brother, brother, now we're talking about stuff, I'm coming in, brother. So, dude, it's nothing against you, brother. I'm coming in. I don't know who's my friend, dude. I don't know if I've got a friend, brother. I got Brudai coming in with me, dude. I got Jimmy Hart. But that's it, brother. My little entourage, dude. I know Knobs is there, brother, so I can dig that, dude, and I got Sags with him. But other than that, brother, we're talking about a whole new, we're talking about so Steve, brother, I just didn't know, dude. I didn't know what to do, brother. And when I see someone like you who's obviously got some,
clearly money.
Some skills, brother. Right. Clearly money, dude. I have to bury you, brother. For not even for my own good, but for your own good, brother.
I'm sure you can understand.
Because if you just think about this, think about logically, dude. All right? If you're bigger than Hulk Hogan, brother, where does that put Hulk Hogan? And the crowd kind of like, what's happening, brother? Why isn't Hulk Hogan the guy? I came here to watch Hulk Hogan, but this other guy's the guy. See how that doesn't work, brother?
And you can see now, brother, now that you reached the heights you did, dude, which I totally saw for you, brother, to be honest, but you got to put yourself in my shoes at the time, dude.
Yeah, you got to look at it from a different perspective, brother. Look at it from a Hulk Hogan coming in, dude, as opposed to a Steve Austin watching Hulk Hogan come in.
That's right. That's well put. Indisputable, brother, in fact.
Dude, and that's the thing, dude, is that if the fans are coming to see Hulk Hogan and they see that some other guy's a bigger deal, brother, they're going to say, well, why is this guy a big deal? I don't understand. I'm confused. I think I have to go watch him, brother. But I came to watch Hulk Hogan. But I want to watch this other guy, brother. You see, dude, that just kind of screws with the fans' perspective, brother.
Mm-hmm.
We want, if the fans are coming to see Hulk Hogan. Now, if the fans are coming to see Steve Austin, dude, more power to you, brother. But if they're coming to see Hulk Hogan, dude, and they turn their attention to Steve Austin, brother, then we have missed an opportunity.
All that is a long way of saying, dude, that I thought you should have been world champion when I was there, and can we please work together, brother?
Brother, I thought you were world champion material, dude. I thought we could have had a great match, brother. And
I offered several times to put you over for the belt, but no one wanted to hear it.
I'd put you over, dude. I told many people I'd put you over, brother. But everyone's like, no, Hulk, you can't put him over, dude. You have to.
Son, you're looking at my big little eyes and telling me this. Why don't you put me on the phone with one son of a bitch that would confirm that, son? Well, standing here, right in front of me, 20 by 20 foot.
Dude, one of the guys was Nick Bockwinkel, brother. But
he's dead.
Passed, dude. He's not here, dude. He's dead, brother.
Why'd you confide in Nick Bockwinkel?
Another guy that I told about that dude was Lee Marshall, brother. He's dead too, dude. And I also told Chris Benoit this, brother. He's dead.
He wasn't even there, son. Now you're standing here looking at me.
He and I knew each other from Japan, dude. I used to work Japan, brother.
I thought it was sort of self-evident in the question, son, that when I told you to call somebody that could confirm that, I meant someone who's alive, for Christ's sakes.
Well, brother, but dude, I can't, brother, because they're the people that I told are all
brother, I'm
dead.
getting a phone call, brother.
Brother, I got a phone call right now, dude.
I gotta go. So, interestingly, from a cross-current perspective, we mentioned that infamous Duggan over Steve Austin outcome. That was Fall Brawl 94.
Yes.
And that sort of sudden insertion of Duggan into the U.S. title picture was because Ricky Steamboat suffered a career-ending injury working against Steve Austin in Roanoke, Virginia, to his back. And that's the end of his career, 1994. So we see here a Steamboat that's actually wrapping up the final year of his in-ring career, if you don't count that tremendous comeback at WrestleMania 26, I think it was, or 25.
And the following Backlash.
What's that? And the following Backlash, that's right, yes.
That's where he had the one-on-one match with Jericho.
Jericho, wonderful stuff there. And he had, he did an angle in TNA. He didn't wrestle, though. I mean, he was around the business, but that's the point, is this is really full-time Steamboat ending in 94, and he goes on from this Spring Stampede to work one more program with stunning Steve Austin for the U.S. Championship, suffers the injury, Duggan comes in, Hogan regime's in place, and we go from there. As far as Hogan and this show, one of the things that's talked about a lot when you look back at Spring Stampede 94 was the WCW was not hesitating at all to try to convince potential buyers of the show, I would imagine, that Hulk Hogan could very well be in attendance at the Rosemont Horizon to view Flair versus Steamboat. They're talking about it on television. Flair's talking about Hogan. I would love to see you come out. I dare you. It had started in March. I think the March 12th, 1994 edition of Saturday Night is the first time that Hulk Hogan appears on WCW television, where Gene Okerlund goes to the set of Thunder in Paradise and conducts one of what would be many remote interviews with the Hulkster about his interest in coming in. That would air on WCW television, play out over the months, kind of drips and drabs. It wasn't a steady drumbeat necessarily of Hogan every week. And they had done one talking about Spring Stampede and hinting that he may be there. And they tell Hogan asks people on the hotline, Gene Okerlund's hotline, but you got to remember, Gene Okerlund got a piece of the hotline revenue, so he was very much incentivized to overpromise in terms of what you might find on the hotline, or even sometimes outright lie.
Yes.
To get people to buy. They would do this poll, like if you want Hulk Hogan to wrestle Ric Flair, option 1. If not, option 2, call the hotline right now. And I'm sure you had to listen to a 5-minute spiel from Gene Okerlund before you could cast your vote.
Right. You can never listen to one for 1 minute. You definitely had to listen for several.
You definitely had to get your parents' permission, kids out there. But that was what was going on television, and Flair's making reference to it. We've talked about this before. Flair was basically the engineer of bringing in Hogan. Certainly Bischoff consummated the deal and, got the higher-ups at the Ted Turner level, the C-suite level, to apportion the money needed to pay Hogan sort of off of WCW's books entirely. Bischoff bristles whenever people talk about how cost-cutting measures at the time and people being let out of contracts at the time and being fired at the time were tied directly to freeing up money to pay Hulk Hogan, when in reality, WCW's budget was the same when Hogan came in as it was the year before, when it had been decided, and Hogan's pay and compensation was kept totally separate. Now,
have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea. Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
When you think about how much he took in percentage on a pie, which I think is 25% of pay-per-views, that's money that probably would have went into WCW's coffers.
Sure.
But to sort of say that, you know, they had to find the money in their budget right then and there to pay him his $500,000 per appearance was not necessarily accurate. It's a $2 million a year contract is what Bischoff has said about it. There's other ways to slice and dice it where there's pretty much more being outlaid when you consider how much you take in on pay-per-view, but that's the way he looked at it, and that's what I guess the Turner organization set aside to pay Hulk Hogan. We've talked before about the movie component of that and everything else. But suffice to say, Hogan's coming in, and they're teasing it, and here is some sound from the WCW Saturday Night, the night before the 1994 Spring Stampede, just to give you an idea of how directly they were teasing that this would be the first time you'd see Hulk Hogan live and in person on a WCW pay-per-view, and why Hogan, even though he's not here and wouldn't come in for a few more months, still sort of washes over Spring Stampede 94. Let's hit Hogan Ticket for the people, boss.
All right, from Chicago, it's Spring Stampede. Speaking of that main event, it's Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, the Dragon, and Ric Flair has said he is going to send Hulk Hogan a ticket. He wants him to be at ringside in Chicago tomorrow night. Well, Hulk Hogan... As a matter of fact, Hulk Hogan already has the ticket. I just got off the telephone with him. He is planning on being in Chicago to watch Ric Flair in action. When do I get to talk out here? In just a few minutes. Fans, let's go to the ring.
So that's obviously shtick there with the recently arrived Bobby Heenan being talked over by Gene Okerlund and Tony Schiavone. But there you have it. Gene Okerlund said he has the ticket. Fairly shameless, no?
That's apparently, that is proof. Evidence.
Yes, when it comes from Gene Okerlund's mouth, absolutely. We know he's got the warm line. He's the one on location finding Hulk Hogan at the Tiki Bar, right? On the Thunder in Paradise set, getting all these exclusives for WCW television viewers. I don't mind telling you, fans.
I don't mind telling you that I want your cash in my pocket.
Gene, that's the problem. You wouldn't mind telling us, even if it's a lie.
I want those greenbacks. Then we told that kid in that... Remember that... he had the kid...
Oh, my God. The kid who was...
Yeah, I forget what the whole deal was.
He was like I think a special needs cause or something. WCW was raising money for Fall Brawl 95, I want to say it is.
Yeah.
And he interviews this kid, and he's like using all these euphemisms for cash and money, and this kid has no idea what Gene's talking. Gene's doing the whole shtick with no adjustment for the fact that this kid's like 12 and has no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
Oh, my God. Fucking Gene.
Here's the problem, Gene. You should mind telling us if it's an outright lie.
Yeah. Here's the problem, Gene. You shouldn't mind trying to get cash from a kid.
Right.
Idiot.
Cars for kids, that's a different question.
That's a different question.
So yes. Later in that same broadcast, I will say, they did have Bobby Heenan and Shivani say and clarify that nothing's been finalized yet regarding Hulk Hogan's appearance at Spring Stampede. It's just, the hot rumor right now. So they did try to give themselves an out, talking about Hogan possibly being at ringside for this event. Meltzer reported at the time that Hogan was actually never scheduled to come to the show, even after the agreement to come to WCW was worked out earlier in the week. So apparently this is a very... How
do they get away with that kind of shit?
What?
How do they get away with that kind of shit? By, just blatantly lying.
Well, they had the wiggle words in there, and all Gene said is that he has the ticket. But it does make it seem like Hogan's ducking Flair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true.
And it's hilarious in some sound we'll hear later to hear Ric Flair make reference to the fact that Hogan may very well have been there just in the shadows, right? Trying to avoid...
He's in the bathroom the whole time.
Just scouting, right? But trying to avoid publicity for it. So, Meltzer saying it was nothing more than deceptive advertising on the Saturday show, plugging it again on the pay-per-view, which I get to go back over the deep dive with a finer tooth comb. I don't remember them saying on the pay-per-view itself that Hulk Hogan is here.
Maybe it's in the, I wonder if it's in the pre-show.
Yeah, they didn't really do pre-shows.
No,
not to my memory. No, I don't think they really did. It was this time period. It was the if they did a pay per view, it was like Pro maybe but that was all pre-taped. That wasn't live from the building.
They didn't do pre-shows like WWE did.
Sometimes they would in the times when Pro would air leading right up to the pay per view on TBS, but it wouldn't be on your pay per view preview channel. No.
Interesting.
The only thing they would air on that, and I think this is only like post NWO, would just be like looped video packages, like prepackaged stuff. Certainly nothing live from the building where they're communicating late-breaking information about what's happening, stuff like that. Nothing like more akin to those glorious. So we talked about the Slamboree 94 show, right, where they were in the atrium of CNN Center trying to.
Oh.
And Johnny Valentine says Slamboree. Disgusting. The same Johnny Valentine who Brian Knobs in a shoot interview with Hannibal that I just watched said that he went to his house because I think Knobs is married to Greg Valentine's his brother-in-law or something like that.
Oh, of course, they're all related.
Oh,
really,
totally. And they're all there eating, and Valentine.
I mean, it's funny we make a big deal out of the Samoans, being all related, but Jesus Christ, the whole wrestling, they're all fucking related.
Really,
it's all incestual.
They're marrying sisters all day,
right?
And so Knobs, has a nice big meal at the Valentine home and gets on the road and is driving and ends up having explosive diarrhea and pulls over on the side of the road and takes a big shit on the side of the road because he couldn't afford to get to a bathroom in time and ends up shitting all over his own car, and that's hilarious. Okay, so how did he sound like after he ate the meal? Okay. So that's hilarious. You got me, Johnny. You made me shit my brains out on the side of the road. Hilarious. Only in wrestling would that be funny.
That's because I put in the Slamboree.
Think of his face. How anyone trusted that man to be around them for even a split second, I will never know.
I know. I mean, there were stories. People would just disappear. People would disappear, and like, where did they go? Last time I saw them, they were with Valentine. Mm-hmm.
Greg Valentine living in a one bedroom in a complex in Las Vegas right now.
Oh, God.
Blue T-shirt, blazer, gold chain over the blue T-shirt.
Definitely. I mean, I don't even think a one bedroom it's a studio for sure, or it's like a one room apartment.
We got a glimpse of it on this WWF Most Hidden Treasures show. They go there, and him and Brudai get together again to go hunt a pair of shears. Yeah, you see his home. You see his house. It's my favorite part of that show is we get to see the reality of where these guys live.
I don't even know what this is.
A&E came out with it. WWE's Most Hidden Treasures.
Oh, it's there. Okay, I see.
Most Wanted Hidden Treasures. So they have a guy who's in developmental. His name's AJ Francis. He's like the host, and he meets with Stephanie and Triple H at the warehouse, and they have the archivist. I think his name is Rob Brown or something there. And, they're like on the hunt for memorabilia that fans have bought over the years that now that they want to create their own Hall of Fame, they want to take possession of. And so they have these phony negotiations and stuff to buy the stuff from these fans who are just like the most pro wrestling people you can imagine. In some ways, they come off as totally normal and fine people. But there's shame underneath it all to some degree. So anyway, we have this situation with the plugs. Now, Bischoff says...
Shame.
says that the deal had been worked out earlier in the week, and that Flair and Hulk were talking quite a bit. There's active dialogue going on, so it's a hot issue. It's not like it's impossible that he might show up. Of course, no deliberate intention to mislead anyone. We would never do that.
Of course not.
But Bischoff says that, in fact, we were under the impression for the better part of the week that Hulk was going to be there. So that might account for why some of the earlier hype, like the Saturday night thing, which had been taped earlier, to be clear, may have been a bit more strident in promising him or teasing him. But as so often happens, Bischoff said on his podcast, what they say and what they're able to do are two different things. And he doesn't know why Hulk Hogan ended up not coming to the show, but originally we thought he was going to make it in. So Meltzer says he was never going to be there. Bischoff says he was. Have fun deciding. I'm sure Hogan has the most colorful story you've ever heard about how he was in Japan and he was technically on his way there, but it was yesterday by the time he got there. Bischoff does say that it would be really stupid for Gene to promote it on the broadcast, but then he goes into the whole thing about how Gene was incentivized to generate as much revenue as he possibly could with the 900 line and would take it upon himself sometimes to stretch the truth. And the Hulk Hogan rumor, of course, was a hot one at the time, and sort of pretend to know he's not there. Pretend to know he's not going to be there. So there had been reporting at the time. It was just right at the cusp of this deal being cut. I think Nesson, of all people, reported that Hogan had signed the deal and had details around $600,000 a year. Bischoff clarified 4 pay-per-views a year at $500,000 per pay-per-view, which is kind of how his deal is understood. It's there's a copy of Hogan's contract that came out in a lawsuit, but it's one he signed in the summer of '98. It's a re-up.
Right. So 4 pay-per-views a year? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, with 3 to 4 weeks of TV leading in. And I think he got 25% of the buy rate. 25% of the total gross of pay-per-view buy money, too.
So absurd.
He definitely got that in the renewed contract. I think he had that from the beginning as well. There were some clashes in there. He said it's essentially a $2 million contract, $2 million a year. There was some licensing and merchandise. However, WCW wasn't generating a lot on that front.
So he really owed WCW a pay-per-view in '94.
I guess, yeah. If it wasn't sort of prorated for the fact that they were starting mid-year, yeah.
Maybe he made up for it because I bet he did he did a lot in '95.
He did.
He did Super Brawl.
Remember the one where he's on the pre-show and not the main show, so they didn't have to pay him? Remember that?
That was
Bash?
Great American Bash '95. Yeah.
Wow.
But he is at Bash the Beach. He's at Fall Brawl, Halloween Havoc, World War III. I mean, he's in at least 6, and I'm sure I'm missing one. Oh, Slamboree, he wrestles in a tag match, I think, doesn't he?
What? Slamboree '95?
Or is that Spring Stampede?
Tag match.
Yeah, one of them or maybe it's a Clash. I'm thinking of. He wrestles with Savage against Sting and Vader, Flair and Vader.
Oh, I think that's a Clash.
All right.
Yeah, whatever. Maybe hunt it down, but that's in the air. The strategy being, according to Bischoff, that even if we didn't cover Hulk Hogan's cost...
No, that would be Slamboree '95.
Okay, thank you. I don't remember him on WCW pay-per-view in a tag match.
Yeah, well, of course you do. Uncensored '96. Well, sorry, that wasn't John Cena.
That was it's like 2 on 10, right? Hardly a tag match, but I get your point. That we should count Fall Brawl as well. But if we don't cover Hulk Hogan's cost on a pay-per-view, the idea was, he's just going to raise tide. Eventually, Bischoff's like, I was proven right, so I'm going to pretend that was in my mind from the beginning, that eventually something like the NWO would come around and he'd pop business. Now, look, Hogan made a big difference to the bottom line. But the idea that they didn't hope to make back what they were paying Hulk on a pay-per-view, the idea that they didn't hope to gross $1 by the time they finished paying him off is completely ridiculous. And so, he was attracting press and publicity. Bischoff says that they couldn't afford to pay for it at the time. WCW, Hulk Hogan was. In particular, they would increase the international TV distribution of WCW and make it much more viable to open up new markets to TV. And as our guest this week, who put this on the table and paid for it, the Hopper guest, Sam in the UK, talks about, it wasn't a time where there was a whole hell of a lot of television distribution in the UK for WCW. It was worldwide, and that was it. You couldn't, you certainly weren't getting paid top dollar for first-run WCW programming in that market at that time. And Hulk Hogan did help open those doors, unquestionably. And so that was that. So the fallout, what happens after this show is sort of just as important to understanding the show as what happens before it, I would say, because we have this controversial finish. It really is a replay of the 1989 Clash finish where Steamboat lifts Flair in the chicken wing. Now, of course, that was a 2 out of 3 falls, so there was a bit more drama going into that as both had split falls in a 60-minute time limit. But he lifts him in the chicken wing, not the crossface chicken wing, right? But the double arm.
It's the double arm chicken wing, yeah.
Sort of like the glam slam without the slam. He lifts Flair up, and then Steamboat drops down to his back, and sort of, in 1989, in that version, he barely even bridges. He lays flat, making you think that, right?
He doesn't bridge.
That the psychology was supposed to be, does he lift his shoulder at the last second, not was he bridged at all? And then Flair gets his foot on the bottom rope in the 89 match. So that creates the idea that, who really won? Steamboat lifted his shoulder, but Flair had his feet on the rope. So wasn't Flair actually pinning Steamboat? And then they do the third match at Wrestle War 89. Funk attacks Flair afterwards, which Steamboat said, interestingly, he had no idea about. He wasn't told before that match with Flair where he dropped the belt to him at Wrestle War that they were going to start Flair's next program in the ring right after that match.
I mean, did he expect to be going into like
he thought there'd be another one. Yeah, he did.
Really? Oh, yeah. Wow.
But instead, he's working Luger at the Bash, and he's gone after that. The Bash is the match, of course, where the Funk Flair match happens.
Yeah.
So a Great American Bash. And so come 94, pretty much a replay of the finish. Steamboat lifts Flair in the chicken wing and bridges much better than he did in 89. And the question is, whose shoulders are down the most. And we know how they work that in their minds that, Flair's shoulders are down, but so are Steamboat's, though Steamboat executed the move that put down Flair's shoulder. So can he really pin himself? Did he lift his shoulder at the last second? That's what they bring back. They don't have the component of Flair having his foot on the rope, however, to create that extra layer of doubt. So what to do? We go off the air really with no champion, no announcement as to what this means and where the championship stands. It turns to WCW Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel, who, I guess, kind of contributes on this broadcast.
Oh, God.
Such as he was capable. I mean, Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel is not the best Nick Bockwinkel, okay?
No, it's definitely a shell of Nick Bockwinkel. He's the worst.
I mean, it's something that they would actually have a lot of fun with behind the scenes. Come to find out, you hear Tony Schiavone talk about this time period, and there would be times where Heenan is actually laughing his ass off camera because Bockwinkel is forgetting details that it's just hilarious for a commissioner to forget, like the name of the next pay-per-view, for instance.
Oh,
and Schiavone swears, like, as much of a reputation for intelligence as Nick Bockwinkel had, using the thesaurus and the dictionary to come up with big words in his interviews in AWA in his heyday, he's a dumb guy, according to Tony.
That's awesome.
Kind of like a, I don't really know, not a buffoon, but, kind of like a simpleton. You know what I mean? Is the way it comes off, the way he talks about him. And so so to Tony's way of explaining it, that was kind of the idea of making Nick Bockwinkel the WCW commissioner, is he would be this kind of like, guy that would have this exterior of high credibility and high integrity, but really a guy who would just stumble and bumble through decisions. It wasn't an accident that Bockwinkel came off as incompetent half the time. Yeah. Is the way I interpret it. So anyway, he's got to figure out what to do about this situation, and let's cue up Bach for the people, boss. This is
perfect.
Him addressing it on Saturday night, and it kind of gives us a clue as to what's to come here to resolve this situation between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat.
Well, fans, I've covered this great sport for over a quarter of a century, and I've got to say that's one of the most controversial conclusions to any match I've ever seen. Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel, why in the world did you award the title, and you did it very dramatically, to the Nature Boy Ric Flair?
As far as I was concerned, it was simple in this essence. The prerogative of proof had to be on the part of Steamboat. He did not conclusively prove it, and as tradition has been, when it's an even match or it's a draw, you wind up giving it back to the champion. He keeps the title. Now then, the question has been, is this conclusive? There have been discussions with the board. I had hoped to come
What's going on there, Nick?
I had hoped to come out here and have a conclusive statement for you, but right now it is still up into the air.
Whoa. Is there any chance at all that the WCW heavyweight title is going to be held up?
Yes, there is.
There is.
I will say this, and it is our intention to have that decision to you before this show is over today.
All right, we will be standing by. Get to me the minute you hear anything at all. Oh, yes, Ric Flair.
You know, I'm standing by because I want to hear the decision, too. I hear the rumor all week long that one of the greatest champions in our sport, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. My integrity is on the line. I didn't win the belt. Nick, I wrestled you when you were the world champion. You competed against me since I've been a champion. I won that match. And I won't have you or one fan out there think for 1 second that I'm not the greatest champion of all time. You want to hold it up? Take it. It's yours. Keep it. Now, you wait 1 second. The only reason why you're giving that belt back is because your ego's so big. The whole world saw me pin your shoulders to the match. I was in control. I had the hold on you. The fat lady has sung. The match is over. Why don't you suck it up for once and face the facts? Steamboat, the last time you put that finger in my face, I broke it off and threw it away. You want to settle it? Make the match. You're the commissioner. Make it on this show. Make it next week. Make it tomorrow. Make the match. We'll find out, pal. I'll be there. Remember, the name's Ric Flair. Live with it, pal. Remember, I'm Steamboat, and I've beaten you 3 out of 4. Face the facts.
Before the show is over today, we are going to have a decision one way or the other.
He is in the hot seat, or on the hot seat, I should say, WCW Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel. Boy, things are heating up. Joining me at this time, WCW Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel.
Oh, my God.
Nick, as you and the committee had suggested at the top of the program, tremendous controversy between Flair and Steamboat and that big decision recently in Chicago. Where does it stand right now?
Well, where it stands right now, and we did say we were going to have a decision before this show was over, and here is what the decision is. When Mr. Flair and his passions threw this belt at me, he made our decision easy. 2 weeks from tonight, right here, there will be a title match because this thing has been held up. Compliments of Mr. Flair. And they will fight for the title right here on TBS 2 weeks from tonight.
Wow, what a way to bring all of that to resolution. Right here, 2 weeks from tonight, live on TBS, you're going to be seeing the Nature Boy Ric Flair square off one more time against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
So there you have it.
Wow.
He took it to the board, right? And
Sure.
Can you explain to me the prerogative of proof? What is that?
I was about to ask you the same fucking question.
Okay, so
I
can't help you.
Can you tell me what the prerogative of proof is? Does proof is more importantly, is proof qualified to have a prerogative?
It's sort of Nick Bockwinkel's prerogative to figure that out. I would say what he means by that is that because Steamboat came in the challenger, he carries a higher burden of proof that he pinned Flair's shoulders to the mat than Flair as champion has to prove that he pinned Steamboat's shoulders to the mat. Now, that's probably a better way of explaining it, but I think Bockwinkel wanted to get the word prerogative in there, would be my guess. And so here we are.
He was told to.
He was probably reading off a cue card, if we're honest. But,
Make sure just do me a favor. Nick, you got to say prerogative.
Kind of like how he was a senior consultant at the time, was Jimmy Barnett.
That's right. I don't. Nick, listen, I'm telling you, pal, okay? You got to do...
Are you putting your hand in your head right now? Your face?
Uh-huh. You have to. Nick, I need you. You got to listen, okay? You can't forget the name of the pay-per-view. You do that and nobody knows what you're talking about. Do you get it? No. What?
Oh.
But, Nick, we're trying to sell the pay-per-view. We're trying to get people to buy the fucking thing. Do you get it? We're trying to get people to buy the fucking pay-per-view so that we can earn money and that we can all get paid and I can go get drugs. Do you see that? And drink into oblivion. Because I can't, my heart, you get it? My heart is just going to go because of the amount of stress that this shit is happening, and you're adding to that, Nick. Do you understand? No. Fuck, Nick! Fuck! I can't!
No wonder this is his last paying job in the business.
Oh, my God. Nick, I need you to remember the name of the pay-per-views. Why? Ah! Yeah, Nick!
Yes. Get ready for the text. Everything okay? Someone's going to call 911 by the time you're done.
Drink.
Yes.
Stiff one.
You got that right.
Drink.
So, the way Bockwinkel told it, in addition to that prerogative of proof point, it's kind of like, a tie goes to the runner in baseball, right? Or you got to take the belt from the champion.
Right.
In a judge's mind. Anyway, what he kind of suggests there is because Flair, in a fit of attitude, threw the belt at Nick Bockwinkel. Now he's got to earn it. Now he's got to beat Steamboat again in a match. He sort of says that.
Right.
So it seems like Nick Bockwinkel was leaning towards just giving it back to Flair, which I think is a point that history has forgotten, boss, though I'm sure the internal memoranda at the time at World Championship Wrestling and communication between the commissioner and the executive committee would very much reflect that.
Indeed.
Well put. I met with the executive committee. Oh my God. Nothing like the kayfabe board of directors in wrestling. I can't get enough.
I love that there are people to me, you've got a group of people who are at every WCW event, no matter where they are, they're always sitting around a conference table. They're always waiting to have to discuss championship obligations.
And the commish is always so burdened, by the politics, God, I'm trying to keep this guy happy. I'm trying to keep this guy happy. I got to go to the board.
Oh. Well, all right, we'll discuss it. We'll take it in consideration. Thank you, Nick. Folks, we have to decide here. We have a championship dilemma.
We call this meeting to order.
So we like to call this meeting to order.
First, we'll take a roll. Member Crockett,
yes,
are you here?
Roll, yes. Mr. Crockett, yes. Here. Mm-hmm. Mr.
Rogowski?
Yes, Mr. Legowski.
The big Legowski, is that what it says here? Member Dew.
Is this Jeff Legowski?
Member Gagne. Member Dew. Member Graham. Member Shaw. Right. Member Siegel.
And Member Schiller.
Member Sadello.
Member Hyatt.
Member Tyson.
And Member Austin and Member Michaels.
Dude, it was so weird. Sean never came to WCW, but he did accept a board appointment. Joining us by conference call, of course, is Member Michaels from the road. Hey, Sean, how you doing? Hey, Steve, what you got, Jack? I'm in Syracuse right now. I need to make it. Let's table the motion, Jack. All right. Well, we've come. Go ahead.
Right, well, we're here to bring this meeting to order.
Who's this talking, by the way?
Huh?
Who's this talking?
I don't know who's talking. I don't know who the chairman is. I don't know who the chairman of the championship committee is.
Let's say it's Bill Shaw.
All right.
Chairman Shaw.
All right. So here we are, folks. We're here now. We are here. We have a dilemma with the championship. The WCW championship, not the NWA Big Gold dilemma. We got a different dilemma. And the dilemma is, so we don't know how to deal with this situation here. Does anyone have any ideas how we should be handling the Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat championship dilemma?
Permission to speak, Mr. Chairman.
The chairman recognizes Member Austin.
Thanks for keeping up to the Lloyds of London rules of order.
That's the way we do things down here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I think one of the things we need to think about is whether we're still as a board confident in Mr. Commissioner Bockwinkel's ability to do the damn job. I mean, he's had a 16x16 schedule and a 30x30 month
Mr. Austin,
commitment.
I'm sorry, but your time has expired because the language you use, you've been disqualified from using your time at this meeting. You said the word DAMN, and that is not an acceptable term.
What are you going to do, fax a transcript to Wade Keller's son?
Mr. Austin, these are confidential meetings within amongst the championship committee.
Mr. Chairman, permission to speak on your question.
Yes.
Says Member Dew.
Member Dew, please go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Bob.
Got me there. Because, of course, Bill and Bob are thick as thieves, right? I think what we have here is a situation where we really should be weighing. Permission to speak, Mr. Chairman. Al, I'm talking. Really, Al? Why don't you just keep sucking face with Sharon Sadello and leave me the fuck alone, okay?
Order. Just come on. Folks, can we have order, please? Listen, we're just trying to...
He said fuck, and you're not going to censure him? What the hell kind
listen, listen, I'm a chairman here. I reserve the right to censure anyone who I choose.
It's uncensored around here as far as I'm concerned, son. That's not
Mr. Austin, Member Austin, sir, you had your opportunity. Can
I reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
from
you
Member
may reclaim
Rogowski?
your time.
Member Rogowski, I assure you'll have a chance to address the committee. But as for my appointed time, which I'm entitled to, I believe, per the rules of order, I think that really we ought to have a match to determine who is the rightful champion, and I think we're due for one more appointment bout between Ricky Steamboat and Mr. Flair. Now,
the sale's on at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com. Stock up for school with 40 to 70% off almost everything and deals from $13. Find it all at Gap Factory and GapFactory.com through August 10th.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident. And you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
Minute Maid slushies are back at McDonald's. And if you'd like to thank me for that information, I'll gladly take a slushie. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Right now, treat yourself to a small Minute Maid slushie, like the new strawberry watermelon flavor for $1.59. Or try small McCafe frappes and smoothies for just $2. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only. Minute Maid is a trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
To guard against a similar outcome, which has happened, I believe, on 2 occasions when these two have been in the ring.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should consider, sort of custom rule sets wherein the designated official is instructed not to count in so-called double pin situations where...
well, that actually brings up a very interesting point that maybe that should be a general rule that there shouldn't be a double pin situation.
The fuck are you talking about? How are we going to get out of the fuck finishes if we can't do the fuck finishes?
Member Rogowski, again, language, sir. I've already had to
Can you fire me already, please?
Excuse me?
Can you please fire me already? Do I really have to go and slap the shit out of that Swedish guy that Bischoff wants to bring in here?
Well, all right, listen.
Can I go back to the power plant, please? My lunch is getting cold.
Unfortunately, these positions are life terms. You can't just come and go.
So you're going to deal with me for life. Oh, that's fine. That's a shit. I'll be here. I'll be here in my lounge chair. I'm going to park a lounger right in here. I'll move right in with my sawmill and my suspenders.
Member Rogowski,
and my
you
balls.
are certainly entitled to your opinion on matters and the condition of your membership of this committee.
Flair sucks, okay? It's the same fucking thing every match. Why don't we put it on Steamboat?
Now, we're not here to discuss, what Ric Flair does in the ring. We're here to discuss the championship dilemma. Can we please, folks, let's get this back
Mr.
on
Chairman,
track.
respectfully, we're running out of time here. I mean, we're about to
we are
go
running
live
out of
on
time.
TBS.
We need to discuss how we're going to resolve this dilemma because we have got no champion right now.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I move that The next WCW Saturday night feature Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat in a rematch.
I'd like to get, hold on, before we go, I'd like to get an opinion from Mr. Michaels. Could we, what do you think we should be doing, sir?
Somas. Sean, wake up, man. You're supposed to be on this call.
Hey. Sean,
What?
Sean, quiet. You got to tell him that we're going to, tell him that they got to give the belt to Hogan. All right? Just have him give it to Hogan.
We got Hogan coming in, right? Jack, I had news for you.
Hey, Sean.
We got what?
You got to, listen, what you got to do is you got to have,
right.
You got to have them both, like both Steamboat, and then we got to have us come in, and then we'll fucking be.
Mr. Chairman, who is that in the background advising the member?
Member Michaels, is there somebody in the room with you? This is a private, confidential meeting.
The only,
Sean.
The very best in the world today.
Sean, ask about a guaranteed contract.
Why do you have that accent all of a sudden?
Is somebody else talking?
I think we should put it on Steamboat.
Why?
I gotta go. All right, we've lost the member. Is the phone line dead, Janice? Janie? Janie Engel?
Do we have?
All right, members. So Flair Steamboat it is.
Okay, let's just vote here.
The motion's on the table, Mr. Chairman. And do I have a second? Second!
All right.
All in favor?
What is the motion?
So the motion is that Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat rematch for the championship.
Rematch
Rules
for the championship.
And instructions to be determined.
Whatever he just said. All in favor? All against?
Oh, he's back on the phone.
Mr. Michaels,
are you still there?
All right, so we have one against. All right, the ayes have it, and let's just go home.
All right, and so Nick Bockwinkel comes out with a decision, as we heard. So a little bit behind the scenes for you. There's always a board, and they're always meeting, to your point.
That's it, they're always meeting.
Something else the commish mentioned.
Michaels is on the board.
He's on the board, and he's on the shit. He's on the gimmicks. One to be appointed by the Turner C-suite, with the exception of one ex officio member representing an unrelated wrestling organization. But something else the commish mentions in the promos around this time is that, in fact, Ric Flair's World Championship will be merged with Sting's International World Championship on a date to be determined. Actually, the Clash. They point right to it. The Clash, which took place June 23rd, 1994 in North Charleston, South Carolina, where Flair does beat Sting, to your point, basically turning heel the way he did it. And isn't that when Sherry gets involved?
Right. That's Sherry, yeah.
Right.
Yep. Sherry does it, and then, it all comes together.
There's this weird cross current going on where, like, while Flair was resolving this situation with Steamboat on Saturday night, and the Hogan situation is in the background, he's also having a feud with Colonel Robert Parker as well as Flair. And Parker's trying to buy him off with a big briefcase full of cash, and Flair slugs Parker. But Parker's sort of involvement does play into the outcome of the Flair-Steamboat match, hinting that, Flair might be willing to bend the rules again and associate himself with undesirables to get what he wants. And then Sherry, who had been teasing that she has a mystery man that she's close to consummating a deal with, on Saturday night in the weeks leading up to the Clash, does ultimately prove to